We're coming on the air with breaking news. This emergency trigger that
Around the
stopped
world,
trading, and
stock
the
markets
expectation
fell
and fear
faster
is
than a
that we will see
skydiver without a parachute.
What's up, traders, and welcome to today's video. In this video, I'm sharing with you how I lost everything in my Robinhood trading account. All right, welcome back. Like I said, recently, about 3 weeks ago, I lost everything in my Robinhood trading account.
It's not too bad. I mean, it should be okay. I'm not too worried about it, really. Don't worry about it. I'm not worried at all.
And this video is to just show you what I did, the mistake I made, and hopefully provide information that can help you avoid making the same mistake going forward. Now, before we jump into my computer and I show you exactly what I did and where I lost all the money, let me just tell you that it was about $5,000 that I lost. I walked away from the entire thing having $148 in my trading account on Robinhood, and then ultimately I've begun growing it back since then. But the reason it took me so long to make this video is because honestly, it's quite embarrassing and quite the failure to swallow. With that being said, let's jump into my computer and I will show you where I went wrong. All right, to lay some context, I've got this video that I posted on September 3rd of 2020. Well, the day prior to that, September 2nd, is when I actually recorded this. And to be quite frank, quite honest, I was on top of the world. I had just had a winning streak of 7 weeks, taking no losing trades. If I remember correctly, I didn't take any losing trades. Some of the trades I broke even on, but everything was a win up until then. That was September 2nd. On the 3rd, we lost everything because I was quite foolish. This video did quite well, and you know, we got some subscribers from it, we got some views from it, and I want to continue providing value to those people that found value in that video. In that video, I explained my Robinhood trading strategies and how I'm able to trade SPY options in order to make some profit. Now that we got the context laid, let me show you my TD Ameritrade screen here. And the reason I use TD Ameritrade is that the platform, the Thinkorswim platform, just provides so much valuable information that I honestly need in order to make decent trades. And so here is what we're looking at. We are on the 180-day 4-hour chart. And before I took this big loss, I did not pay any attention to the 180-day 4-hour chart. I wish I had. If I had, I probably would not have made the huge mistakes that I made, or I could have avoided losing everything, or I could have walked away with a smaller percentage of loss. Like I said, I'm brand new to options trading. I'm brand new to stock trading in general. And so this was a loss. We're going to look at, right here is the date. You can see it on this part of the screen here. This is July 30th and 31st. From about right here, that is where I started really messing around with options. And we had a nice run up all the way up to September 2nd. It was awesome. That right there is an 11% gain on SPY, which mirrors the S&P 500. So 11% on that. When you're talking about options, the potential for gain there is astronomical, really. I started out with $450, and in 7 weeks, I was able to grow that to $5,300. Which was it was honestly incredible. Now, during that time, you know, if I got a little change here, a few bucks, I would add that to the account and so on and so forth. But the majority of that account came from growth through trading. I would enter a trade for 1 to 3 days, and these are options trades. And so I would buy the option, hold it for maybe a day, maybe a couple hours, or maybe 3 days, and then sell it. And it was just like printing money. It was ridiculous. But that all changed on the 3rd. You could see this massive drop right here. That was the 3rd of September. Let me get that into a clear view there. So we were sitting here, and on the morning of the 3rd, I thought for sure this is going to go up. I hadn't looked at the 180-day 4-hour chart. I thought it was just going to continue to rise. Had I looked at this, I would have seen here that it was massively overbought and had been for several days. And I even had friends who are traders who do YouTube videos. I hadn't watched these videos, and they were literally making videos saying, watch out, it's overbought. It's going to correct itself. Don't get caught in that. Had I watched those videos, maybe I wouldn't be sitting in the position that I am. So I bought that morning and expecting it to go up, and it went down pretty significantly, pretty quickly. And I honestly thought, you know, it's just a slight dip and it's going to recover, and it didn't. At one point, I remember thinking, you know, we're down 50% for sure. You know, it's bottoming out. It's got to come back. And it didn't. and it just kept going. It was about right there. And the next day, by that point in the day, I was so low on my position that I thought, I've only got a few $100 left. Let me just hold till tomorrow. Hopefully it'll rally up and recover. And it didn't. It just continued to go down for the next 2 days, at which point I cashed out. So I sold out basically at the very bottom. It was the absolute worst trade that I could possibly make. And I made that trade and lost everything. Some people call it a YOLO. You just dump everything in and hope for the best. And if you lose it, then you lose it. I don't recommend trading like this. Honestly, at this point, I'm not really quite sure where the market's going. And being an election year and so much uncertainty in the news and politics and everything, it's rather, to me, I feel like it's rather frightening to trade at this specific moment. I haven't made any trades this week. I have available trades, but I've not made any this week. I'm going to jump onto my Robinhood app to show you where we're at right now. You can see we've got $1,382. This has been growing up over the past couple of weeks. I think for maybe 2 weeks, I just took straight losses, like trying to trade $150, trying to trade $160, trying to trade $100 to just move. And it was just not happening. I was losing every single options trade that I entered. However, you can see on the 1 week chart here, we're up $250, which is 22%. I made recently, a week ago, I made the absolute best trade that I could possibly make. And I'll show you that. All right, this is where I made the absolute best possible trade that I could make for this day. This was on the 25th. The market opened. It found its support and it found its resistance. And after 2 points, I made these horizontal lines at this point here, which would have been 10 a.m. And I thought, let's wait for the 10 o'clock drop. Sure enough, right at 10:08, it started to drop, and it dropped significantly. It fell down here, and I noticed that it started to recover. We touched blue on the RSI, the relative strength indicator. We touched blue, which means it was oversold. It started to come back up. I was actually messaging a friend that also trades. I said, look, if it goes above this horizontal red line that I drew, I'm buying in. So I bought in. I bought one option that was, I don't know the exact terminology, but this one option was 8 levels deep in the money. Meaning, I believe for SPY, it was $8 in the money on what the current price was at that time. So I bought in, and immediately it started to move. I noticed that there was a resistance at $323, which is where I had drawn that horizontal line earlier. I said, if it gets past that, I'm absolutely selling, not even gonna play around with it. And so from this point where we bought to this point where I sold, it was 0.5% on this. And we walked away making $130. I used $500 to buy that option. And when we sold, we made a net profit of $130. So it was an absolute incredible trade. Now, looking back, if I would have held throughout the rest of that day, man, we would have made hundreds more, hundreds more, because we would have gone from this point all the way up here. That would have been awesome. But I couldn't tell the future. So I'm just happy with the trade that I ended up making. It was a 20% gain on that trade, which, because I used half of my trading account, $500, that actually turned into a 10% overall gain on the entire account itself. Like I said, this is rather embarrassing information to share because it's a screw up on my part. I was able to identify how I made the mistake and why I made the mistake. And so going forward, now I know there are certain indicators that I'm going to check on. There are certain things that I'm going to be more diligent about. There are certain guidelines and parameters that all of my trades need to meet before I make a trade. We're talking strictly options here, and so I'm going to tell you my 4 parameters at this point going forward. Now, some of these may change, they may evolve. As we get more trading capital, these things may change a little bit, but currently, what I'm doing, the 4 things that I'm doing in order to ensure that I have the best possible chance at making a profit through a trade is this: only buy SPY. For a moment there, I was buying SPXS, SPXU, SPXL, and other tickers that mimicked SPY, which mimics the S&P 500. The problem with those is they generally don't move as quickly in relation to how SPY moves. SPY might move 1%, and one of those might move 0.25%. Well, I need them to move much quicker and more on a 1-to-1 ratio if at all possible. We're going to talk about that later. Parameter number 2, only buy in the money options. Now, I understand that out of the money options, you have the more potential for gains. You know, if you buy super out of the money and that stock takes off, well then obviously you're going to make incredible gains. But I want to hedge my risk. I want to maintain risk management throughout all of this. And so in doing that, I'm only going to buy in the money, specifically at least 3 lines in the money, if that makes sense. I don't know the correct terminology. If you do know the correct terminology, let me know in the comments below. Buy at least 3 levels in the money. I want to look at my delta. I'm paying much closer attention to the delta of whatever trade that I'm considering. And for my delta, I want to have a greater than or equal to 0.75, so 75%. I want to have at least a 75% delta or greater. This basically is that, you know, as close to 1-to-1 ratio as possible, but that will be coming in a video further down the road where we're going to talk all about delta and why you should be paying attention to it and how valuable that is. And then the other thing is currently only buy 1 or 2 options. Basically buy 1 or 2 options as deep in the money that as I can afford with the highest possible delta. That is my parameters. So only buy SPY. Only buy in the money, at least 3 levels deep. Only buy if it has a delta of greater than or equal to 0.75 or 75%. And only buy 1 or 2 options currently. Now, as I get more capital, as we're hitting the $5,000, $6,000, $10,000 trading account amount, then at that point, we'll look into buying more options really deep in the money with that super high delta. I hope that makes sense to you guys. This is my strategy going forward as I continue to grow money. Today is Friday whenever I am recording this and uploading it. I do not plan to trade today. The market looks a little choppy. I'm going to be paying close attention to what happens over the weekend, and I will be trading Monday through Wednesday. I will have my 3-day trades available because I'm still under the PDT rule, which we will talk about in another video as well. Because of that, I will be utilizing those trades Monday through Wednesday to hopefully turn a profit. I will be documenting and recording everything. I'm super excited to share with you guys what I learned through this process and utilizing these 4 parameters that I set up for myself. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you like this video, be sure to hit that thumbs up button. If you're not already subscribed, consider subscribing as I am transitioning this channel to talk primarily about the stock market and trading stock options. And then remember, as always, guys, you've got options, and I'll see you on the next video.